Commander Alan Wells stood alone at the large window on the observation deck of the UES Defiant, his tired eyes fixed on the strange glowing wall that now wrapped around the entire Sol system like a giant bubble. The barrier shimmered with blue-green light, beautiful but deadly. It had shown up without warning exactly 3 months ago today, trapping Earth and all its people inside. The wall cut Earth off from all its young colonies and the rest of space. Messages could go through this strange fence, but nothing solid could. No ships, no robots, not even the smallest probe. The observation deck was Wells' favorite spot on the ship. Usually it gave him peace to look at the stars. Today those same stars seemed far away, unreachable behind the alien wall. The once promising universe now looked like a prison yard. "Sir?" a voice called from behind him. "You've been standing here for 2 hours." Wells didn't turn around. "I know, Carter." Lieutenant Diane Carter stepped closer, her footsteps echoing in the empty room. Like many on the ship, dark circles marked her eyes from too many sleepless nights. "The crew is getting restless," she said. "They want to do something, anything. We can't just keep floating here watching that damn wall." Wells finally turned. Carter was young, but she was smart and brave. He trusted her. "What would you suggest, Lieutenant? We've tried missiles, lasers, and every signal we can think of. Nothing even scratches it." "I don't know, sir, but we have to try again." Carter's hand moved to the knife she always kept at her belt, a nervous habit. "My brother was on Titan Colony when the barrier went up. I don't even know if he's alive." Wells was about to respond when his communication badge beeped. "Commander," the voice of his communications officer filled the room. "We're getting another call from them? Same channel as before." Wells straightened his uniform. "Tell them I'll be right there." On the bridge, the crew stood at attention as Wells entered. The large view screen at the front remained black. "Put them through," Wells ordered, sitting in his command chair. The screen flickered, then showed the bug-like face they had all come to hate. The alien had a hard shell that looked like green-brown armor. Its large eyes had many small parts, like a fly's eyes, and they caught the light in strange rainbow patterns. The creature's mouth parts clicked together as it spoke. The sound turned into English by the ship's computer. "Humans of Sol," the alien began, its computer voice flat and calm. "The Galactic Council has read your complaint for the 3rd time. Our answer is still no. Your kind, Species 7291C human, must stay locked away until we decide otherwise. You are too violent and aggressive. You would cause problems for everyone else in the galaxy." Wells felt his face grow hot. "We've been traveling in space peacefully for more than 80 years. We've never once attacked another species." "That is true," the alien said, moving its head in a jerky nod. "But our computers say there is a 97.3% chance humans will start a war with other species within 100 years. Your history is troubling. We cannot take this risk." From her science station, Officer Olivia Porter slammed her hand down. "So you've locked us up for something we haven't even done? Something you think we might do someday?" "It is being careful," the alien answered. "Your cage is nice. You have plenty to eat and mine in your system. You can keep growing inside your boundaries." "What about our people out there?" Wells demanded, standing up now. "We have thousands of humans on colonies beyond this barrier. They are being taken care of." The alien's pause told Wells everything he feared. When the alien's face disappeared, from the screen a heavy silence fell over the bridge. Wells looked at each of his officers. "What can we do now?" Porter stepped forward, her red hair pulled back tightly. "Sir, we've tried talking for months. Nothing works. The barrier bounces back everything we throw at it." She lowered her voice. "And now we know they're doing something to our colonists out there." Security Chief Rick Martinez, a broad-shouldered man with a scar across his chin, nodded grimly. "Sir, it's time to show these bugs what humans do when they're cornered." He pulled out a small data pad and passed it to Wells. "Project Hephaestus is ready. We just need your go-ahead." Wells read the information on the pad, his eyes widening. "Are we sure about this? Once we do this, there's no going back." "With respect, sir," Carter said from her station, "they didn't give us any choice. They made the first move." Wells walked back to the large front window of the bridge. The shimmering barrier seemed to mock him, a jail cell built by aliens who thought they knew what was best for humanity. Beyond that wall, human colonists were suffering. He thought of all the history he had studied, how many times humans had faced destruction, how many times they had fought back and won against impossible odds. "We didn't come this far to be put in a zoo," he said quietly. Then he turned, his mind made up. "Send an encrypted message to Earth Command. Tell them we need to move forward with Hephaestus." His eyes hardened as he looked out at the barrier. Again. "Tell them we're armed and ready." The message went out, racing through space toward Earth. Somewhere on the other side of that hated barrier, the aliens thought they had humanity safely caged. They were about to learn how dangerous a cornered human could be. General Heather Sullivan rubbed her tired eyes as she looked at the clock on the wall. It was 3 a.m. She had been awake for nearly 20 hours straight, but sleep wasn't coming tonight. Not with humanity's future hanging by a thread. At 53, Sullivan's dark hair now had streaks of gray, earned from years of service. She had never wanted to be a war leader. All her life she had fought for peace, for science missions, for making friends with whoever might be out there among the stars. Now here she was, deep inside the lunar defense complex, planning what might be the first interspecies war in human history. The meeting room was carved from the moon's rock, with thick walls that kept in warmth and secrets. Around the large, round table sat 12 men and women, the best minds Earth had to offer. Their faces looked ghostly under the blue light of the hologram floating above the table. Detailed plans for something called Project Hephaestus. "It's too risky," said Dr. Greg Bennett, shaking his head. At 62, he was the oldest person in the room. His hands, which had built some of Earth's most advanced weapons, trembled slightly as he pointed to the hologram. "Project Hephaestus was never meant to be used. We built it as a theory, a last-chance option if everything else failed." Sullivan looked him straight in the eyes. "And isn't that exactly where we are now, Greg? Our colonies cut off, our ships trapped, our people being put in zoos out there." The room fell silent. The word zoos hung in the air like poison. Lieutenant Maria Ramirez, only 28 and the youngest officer present, pushed a tablet computer toward the center of the table. Pictures appeared in the air above it, grainy images smuggled through the barrier by a brave pilot who hadn't made it back. "These came in yesterday," Ramirez said, her voice shaking slightly. "The Council is moving all humans from the outer colonies to special habitats. They're watching us like animals in a nature preserve." One picture showed humans behind force fields, their living spaces decorated to look like Earth homes but clearly artificial. Another showed alien scientists taking notes as humans did everyday tasks. A third showed armed guards around the perimeter. Low, angry growl spread through the room as the military officers and scientists saw their people treated like specimens. Sullivan stood up, her full height impressive even in the low gravity of the moon base. "How long until Hephaestus is ready to use?" Bennett tapped some numbers on his tablet. 3 weeks to finish building the core, then testing. Maybe a month total. "We don't have a month," Sullivan said flatly. "Make it 2 weeks." "Even if we get it built," said Colonel Pete Fisher from his seat near the door. "How do we deliver it? Nothing gets through that barrier. We've lost 15 ships trying." "He's right," Bennett added. "The best minds on Earth have tried everything. Lasers bounce off, matter gets vaporized. Even our strongest ships get crushed like tin cans." The door to the meeting room slid open with a soft hiss. Admiral Joe Wyatt walked in. He wore the blue and gold uniform of Earth's defense fleet, his chest heavy with medals from years of service. But it was his eyes that everyone noticed, cold and hard as space itself. "The delivery problem is solved," Wyatt announced, dropping a thick folder on the table. "The UES Pathfinder has been fitted with new technology. Dr. Porter's team has found a way to match the frequency of the barrier, creating a small hole, just big enough for one ship to slip through." Sullivan picked up the folder and flipped through it. "Will it work?" "It has to," Wyatt said simply. "We've got one shot at this." Sullivan nodded slowly. "And if we succeed? If we break through and show them what Hephaestus can do?" Wyatt's face was like stone. Then the Galactic Council will face a choice they never expected. Accept humans as equals with the right to live freely in this galaxy, or learn what it means to make enemies of Earth. Later that night, when the meeting was over and plans were set in motion, Sullivan stood alone on the observation deck of the lunar base. Through the thick glass, she could see Earth hanging in the black sky, a blue and green marble swirled with white clouds. It looked so peaceful from here, so small. Around the Earth, barely visible as a faint shimmer, was the alien barrier that had turned humanity's home into a prison. Sullivan pressed her hand against the cold glass, as if reaching for her distant home planet. She thought about Earth's long history, how many times humans had faced terrible dangers, how many times they had fought against impossible odds and somehow survived. We did not crawl out of the caves, tame fire, split the atom, and reach for the stars just to end up in an alien zoo, she whispered to the empty room. Her breath fogged the glass slightly. And they're about to learn that the worst mistake you can ever make is to corner a human. From the pocket of her uniform, she pulled out a small photo. It showed her son, his wife, and their baby girl, Sullivan's only grandchild. They had been on Europa Colony when the barrier went up. The aliens now had them in one of their habitats. Sullivan's hand tightened around the photo until it crumpled slightly. "We're coming," she promised. "And we're bringing hell with us." Captain Frank Winters stood in front of the large window in his private quarters, staring at his own reflection. At 42, his face showed the marks of someone who had seen too much space travel. Skin a bit too pale, eyes a bit too sharp, from years of scanning star systems. He straightened the collar of his uniform for the 5th time, trying to calm his racing heart. In 6 hours, he would likely be dead, and he had made peace with that. A soft knock at his door broke his thoughts. "Enter," he called out. Chief Engineer Laura Davis stepped in, her usual confident smile replaced by tight lips and worried eyes. "Final checks on the resonance generator are complete, sir. It's as ready as it'll ever be." Winters nodded. "And your assessment, Chief?" Davis hesitated. "Honestly, it's a miracle Dr. Porter's team built this thing in 2 weeks. Will it work? Maybe. Will the ship survive when it does? That's..." She didn't finish the sentence. "I understand," Winters said, quietly. "Did everyone get their messages sent home?" "Yes, sir. All crew members recorded final messages to their families." Davis's voice cracked slightly. "They've been transmitted to Earth Command. The UES Pathfinder had once been a scientific vessel, designed to map new star systems and search for habitable planets. Now its labs had been gutted, replaced with experimental technology and a single terrible weapon. Its crew of 83 brave men and women had all volunteered, knowing they might never return. "Thank you, Laura." Winters placed a hand on her shoulder. "For everything." 4 hours later, the bridge of the Pathfinder hummed with tense energy as the final countdown began. Through the main view screen, the shimmering barrier that had trapped humanity loomed large, a wall of strange energy that bent light in unnatural ways. "Resonance generator at 85% and climbing," reported Navigator Kelly Alvarez from her station. Her fingers moved quickly over the glowing controls. "If Dr. Porter's math is right, we'll punch a small hole in the barrier, just enough for us to slip through." "And if her math is wrong?" Winters asked quietly. Alvarez gave him a grim smile. "Then we'll make a pretty light show for the folks." Back home, Communications Officer Sam Boyd's console suddenly lit up with warning lights. "Captain, we're being hailed from the barrier." "Put it through," Winters ordered, taking a deep breath and standing tall in his command chair. The alien appeared on screen, its insect-like face showing what might have been agitation, its compound eyes glittering and mandibles clicking rapidly. "Human. Vessel, turn back now," the alien commanded, its artificial voice sounding almost worried. "Any attempt to breach the quarantine barrier will result in your immediate destruction." Winters met the alien's gaze steadily. "We are exercising our right to deliver an official response to the Galactic Council," he said calmly. "According to your own Charter of Sentient Rights, Article 7, you must allow us to do this." The alien's head tilted in what seemed like surprise. Your species is not part of the charter. It does not apply to you. No, but it applies to you, Winters replied. And it says you must hear appeals from any thinking species whether they've signed it or not. He allowed himself a small smile. We've been studying your transmissions very carefully. There was a long pause before the alien responded. Very. Well, go to these coordinates, it said, sending a set of numbers to the ship's computer. A diplomatic vessel will meet you there to receive your message. When the transmission ended, the bridge crew exchanged knowing looks. It's a trap, Davis said immediately. They'll disable our ship the moment we reach those coordinates. Of course it is, Winters agreed. Which is why we're not going there. He turned to Alvarez. Maintain our original course. All hands, prepare for emergency protocols. We go through in 4 minutes. The Pathfinder surged forward, its engines pushing harder than they were ever designed to. The ship began to shake as they approached the barrier at dangerous speed. Resonance generator at maximum power, Alvarez called out, her voice tight. Sir, if this doesn't work, it will, Winters cut her off. Humanity wasn't meant to be caged, Lieutenant, and they're about to learn why. Sweat beaded on Winters' forehead as the ship raced toward the shimmering wall. Engineering reports flooded in, hull temperature rising, engine stress beyond safety. Limits power fluctuations throughout the ship. Warning alarms blared on the bridge. Barrier contact in 3, 2, 1. The moment the Pathfinder hit the barrier, the world seemed to stop. A blinding white light filled every corner of the ship. The sound of metal groaning and bending echoed through the halls. For one terrible moment, Winters thought they had failed. Then, with a sound like thunder that seemed to shake the very fabric of space, the Pathfinder broke through. We did it, someone shouted. On the view screen, open space spread out before them, real space beyond the barrier that had imprisoned humanity for months. Winters didn't waste a second. Deploy the package, now! From the belly of the ship, a small, ordinary-looking probe launched out into open space. It immediately shot away at impossible speed, proof of Dr. Porter's revolutionary drive system. But what made the probe truly special was its cargo, Project Hephaestus and humanity's message to the stars. Almost instantly, alien ships appeared all around the Pathfinder, weapons ready. But they did not fire. Not yet. Perhaps they were too surprised that a human ship had actually broken through their perfect barrier. Perhaps they were curious about what would happen next. Winters opened a channel to all frequencies. Attention, ships of the Galactic Council. We come with a message and a demonstration. Watch very carefully. As he spoke, damage reports flooded in from all over the ship. The Pathfinder was badly wounded. Systems were failing. They might have gotten through the barrier, but the ship was dying. Winters looked around at his brave crew, some injured, all exhausted, but each face showing the same fierce pride. They had done what no one thought possible. They had broken free. Whatever happens next, he told them quietly, remember that today, humanity proved something. We will not live in a cage. We will not go quietly. And we are much more dangerous than they ever imagined. In the darkness of space, the probe carrying Project Hephaestus raced toward its target, ready to show the galaxy exactly what humans were capable of when pushed too far. 5 light minutes away from the damaged UES Pathfinder, the small probe carrying Project Hephaestus reached its target point in empty space. To any watching aliens, it must have seemed strange. The humans had broken through the barrier only to send a tiny probe into an empty patch of space. The quiet did not last long. The probe suddenly lit up with a blue-white light so bright that the sensors on nearby alien ships automatically dimmed their screens. For a fraction of a second, nothing else happened. Then the probe exploded. But this was no ordinary explosion. There was no fire, no debris, just a perfect sphere of strange, twisting energy that expanded outward. The sphere was beautiful in a terrifying way, like a soap bubble made of lightning and darkness mixed together. As the sphere grew larger, something impossible happened to the space around it. Stars within its reach seemed to bend and stretch like reflections in moving water. For several heart-stopping seconds, Those stars actually disappeared completely, as if someone had poked holes in the fabric of the universe itself. Then, just as suddenly, they snapped back into place. The entire event lasted less than 15 seconds. To anyone watching, the message was crystal clear. Humans had learned to manipulate the basic rules of reality itself. Aboard the largest ship in the Galactic Council's fleet, High Counselor Zextrel watched the readings from the demonstration with eight-eyed disbelief. The insect-like alien's normally green shell had turned pale, almost white with shock. "This cannot be possible," muttered Chief Scientist Narveen, his long fingers moving frantically over the control panel. "They've created a controlled violation of spatial constants. They should not have this technology for at least 300 more years." Zextrel's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. What would happen if such a device were activated near a planet or a star? The scientist's color faded even further. Complete destabilization. A planet would tear itself apart as space twisted around it. A star would... He couldn't finish the sentence. "And how many of these weapons do they have?" Zextrel demanded. "Unknown," Narveen admitted. "But if they can build one..." Before anyone could say more, all communication systems across the entire Council fleet activated at once. Screens that should have been secure, encrypted channels beyond any human technology suddenly showed the same image: a human woman in a military uniform. She had gray-streaked dark hair and the hard eyes of someone used to making life-or-death decisions. "To the Galactic Council and all spacefaring civilizations," the woman began. "I am General Heather Sullivan of Earth Command. What you have just witnessed is a small-scale demonstration of Project Hephaestus. It represents merely 1% of our defensive capability." Aboard the badly damaged Pathfinder, Captain Winters and his surviving crew watched the transmission on their flickering main screen. Fires had broken out in the lower decks. Emergency systems were failing. But they had completed their mission, and now they watched with fierce pride as humanity delivered its message. "For 80 years, humanity has explored the stars peacefully," Sullivan continued, her voice steady and strong. "We sought friendship, trade, and learning together. Your response was to lock us in a cage and treat our colonists like animals." The camera pulled back to show Sullivan standing in front of a large window overlooking Earth. Beautiful, blue, and seemingly peaceful from orbit. "You claim to fear our capacity for violence," she said. "Perhaps now you understand that your actions have awakened exactly what you feared most. We did not want this. We still don't. But understand one thing clearly: we will not live in a cage." On the Council flagship, Zextrel turned to his advisors. "Contact the quarantine fleet. Order them to..." "Wait," interrupted a human voice. Ambassador Loren Patel, the only human representative who had been caught outside the Sol system when the quarantine began, stepped forward. The tall, thin man had been kept aboard the Council flagship as a cultural consultant, but everyone knew he was really a prisoner. "There's more to the message." On screens throughout the galaxy, Sullivan's face hardened into something like stone. "Humanity offers one final chance for peace. Remove the barrier. Return our colonists. Recognize Earth's right to travel freely among the stars. In return, we will share our discoveries and join your council as peaceful members of the galactic community." She paused, letting her words sink in. "You have 24 hours to respond. If the barrier still stands after that time, we will remove it ourselves by whatever means necessary. And if any human is harmed during this process..." She didn't finish the threat. She didn't need to. The transmission ended, leaving thousands of alien ships floating in stunned silence. Back on the Pathfinder, the mood was a strange mix of victory and desperation. They had succeeded in their mission, but their ship was dying around them. Life support was failing. Hull breaches were spreading. "Do you think it worked?" Chief Engineer Davis asked Winters as they worked side by side to put out an electrical fire near the bridge. "Will they back down?" Winters winced as he burned his hand on a hot panel. "They'd be fools not to. They just saw what one small probe could do. Imagine what would happen if we sent 100. "But we don't have 100, Davis said quietly so the others couldn't hear. Hephaestus was one of a kind, a miracle of science that even Dr. Porter doesn't fully understand. Winters gave her a tired smile. They don't know that. Suddenly, the ship shook violently. Everyone grabbed onto something to keep from falling. Outside the viewports, an alien ship 3 times the size of the Pathfinder had appeared. "Battle stations," Winters ordered, though he knew their weapons were offline. "Prepare for—" But instead of attacking, the alien ship extended a docking tube toward the Pathfinder's airlock. A voice came through the communication system speaking perfect English. "Human vessel, this is Ambassador Patel. The Council has granted me permission to evacuate your crew before they consider Earth's demands. Please prepare for emergency transfer." Winters exchanged shocked looks with his officers. This was unexpected. A trick? Davis wondered. "Maybe," Winters said, "but we don't have many options left." He looked around at the brave men and women who had volunteered for what they all thought was a suicide mission. Besides, if they wanted us dead, they could have destroyed us already. He opened a channel. "Ambassador Patel, we accept your assistance, and please tell the Council one more thing from the crew of the Pathfinder." "What's that, Captain?" Patel's voice asked. Winters looked at his proud crew, standing tall despite their injuries and exhaustion. "Tell them this is just the beginning of what humanity can do when pushed." 23 hours and 39 minutes after Earth's ultimatum, the strange barrier around the Sol system began to fade away. It didn't shatter or explode. It simply grew fainter and fainter until it was gone completely. On the bridge of the UES Defiant, Commander Alan Wells watched with careful eyes. He hadn't slept in nearly 2 days. No one had. The entire fleet was on full alert, weapons ready. "Is it really gone?" Lieutenant Diane Carter asked quietly, standing beside him. "Sensors show nothing," Wells replied. "But keep weapons hot. This could still be a trick." The main screen lit up with an incoming message from Earth Command. General Sullivan appeared, her face showing exhaustion, but also triumph. "All ships, stand down to yellow alert," she ordered. "The Galactic Council has accepted our terms. They're sending diplomats to Earth right now." A cheer went up around the bridge, but Wells raised his hand for quiet. "What about our colonists, General? The people they took?" "Being returned as we speak," Sullivan confirmed with a tired smile. "Ambassador Patel has been helping with talks, and the crew of the Pathfinder are safe. All of them." 3 days later, Earth's historic United Nations building in Geneva hosted the most important meeting in human history. Representatives from Earth sat across from delegates of the Galactic Council, beings from dozens of different alien species. The large round room buzzed with translators and diplomats. High Counselor Zexatral stood before the assembly, his green insect-like body looking strange against the background of human architecture. His translator turned his clicks and chirps into smooth English. "We created the quarantine based on computer predictions in your history," he explained. "No species in our records has ever developed technology as quickly as humans, especially weapons. We were afraid of what might happen." General Sullivan, now wearing formal clothes instead of her uniform, looked directly at the alien. "Fear makes for bad decisions, Counselor. If you had come to us openly, you would have found friends, not enemies." Ambassador Patel stepped forward. During his time trapped outside the barrier, he had learned much about the Council. "I've noticed something interesting about your civilization," he said to the aliens. "For all your amazing technology and long history, you've lost something that humans still have." "And what is that?" asked Zextral. "The drive to push forward against all odds, the refusal to accept limits, the belief that barriers are meant to be broken." Patel smiled slightly. "You saw our wars and thought we were dangerous. What you missed is that those same qualities make us perfect for helping solve problems your people have struggled with for thousands of years." Dr. Olivia Porter, whose work had made the Pathfinder's mission possible, spoke next. "Project Hephaestus was never designed as a weapon," she revealed, causing surprised whispers among the aliens. "It was created as a power source, a way to make clean energy by carefully controlling space-time itself. Yes, it could be used as a weapon, but its real purpose was to create, not destroy. In the weeks that followed, humanity began to join the wider galactic community. Trading posts opened, cultural exchanges started, and joint science projects launched. The UES Pathfinder, now fully repaired, prepared for its first mission as part of a mixed human-alien crew. Captain Winters stood on his ship's observation deck, watching Earth grow smaller as they left orbit. "Do you think they'll try something like this again?" asked Laura Davis, now his first officer. Winters thought carefully before answering. "Maybe. Fear doesn't go away quickly, but I think they understand something important about humans now." "What's that?" "That the same determination that makes us dangerous when threatened makes us valuable as friends." He turned to face her. "We didn't fight our way to the stars to conquer them, but we certainly didn't come this far to be put in a cage either." As the Pathfinder headed toward distant stars, a small monument was unveiled in Geneva. It showed a human hand and an alien hand joined together with words written beneath. "To the stars together, but never forget that humanity comes armed with both weapons and hope."